Mastering your blood sugar levels as a type 1 diabetic. My name is Martin Santise. I am a type 1 diabetic myself, and I am also a wellness coach that helps other type 1 diabetics regain control over their blood sugar levels. And in this video, I'm going to give you three practical, crucial steps that you must understand before you even start this journey of mastering blood sugar levels. And I want to break this down. By the way, if you hear a chainsaw in the back, I apologize. I'm in my garage and there's someone cutting something outside. So don't get distracted. Pay attention because I got some good stuff for you right here. So, first of all, before I even get into it, why is it important for us to master control over our blood sugar levels? And this is something that I don't understand why other type 1 diabetics are not, this is not in their forefront of their mind. And I guess when I was diagnosed at 22 years old, this is all I thought about. I couldn't even go to sleep at night thinking about blood sugar level control because I was so scared of dealing with diabetic complications and all that horrible things that can happen. And also, I was extremely scared of going low, I was scared of insulin. So, I felt like if I got control over my blood sugar levels, I would be able to live a normal life again, if that makes sense. I felt like I had no future, nothing made sense. If my life was just going to be ended short due to type 1 diabetes complications. And also, I didn't feel like myself. I couldn't go out. I couldn't enjoy myself. I couldn't hang out with friends. I couldn't work. I couldn't do anything because I was just living in total fear where I felt like blood sugar levels controlled how my day to day went. If I'm going low, like I was just horrible. It was a horrible place, and it's not normal to be constantly dealing with roller coaster blood sugar levels, and that's why it's so important to master this. And now, let me tell you something: the better control you have over this disease, the better control you have over your blood sugar levels, the more normal you're gonna feel, right? It's been 7 years now. Actually, I got diagnosed in 2017. It's 2024. Yeah, it's about to come up to 7 years. And I can honestly say I feel like I'm living my life prior to when I had type 1 diabetes. Yes, I'm still doing injections. I'm still managing. I'm still doing everything I have to do on the practical end, but I feel like I'm able to do the things that I was doing before. Now, it's super important that you, and it leads to the first thing that I want to talk about, but it's super important that you understand why we're trying to master control over this. And I'm telling you, the more control you have over this disease, the better quality of life you are going to have. And that leads me to the first tip that I have for you in order to master control over your blood sugar levels. And that is accepting it and being intentional about it. Accepting that you have type 1 diabetes and being intentional about what you're actually trying to achieve with your health. Um, eh, let me let me make it clear for you. You have to be very precise on the outcome that you want to achieve with your blood sugar level control. Uh, for me, my goal was, how can I live a life where I'm not prone to the complications that might happen to me in the future? How can I live a normal life where I can do the things that I want to do without fear of going low, with understanding what's going on with my body? And I set goals out for myself. I was being intentional about those goals. Now, the biggest goal that I had was avoiding diabetic complications. I was desperate to avoid anything that could happen to me because I said to myself, well, it makes no sense of living if I'm going to die in 10 years, right? This is how my mind was working at 22 years old when I was just diagnosed. Nothing made sense if diabetes was just going to completely ruin my life. So I was intentional about it. I said, I got to do whatever I can do to make sure that nothing's going to happen to me. And that led me to understanding what I needed to do. And that is emulate the same blood sugar levels as someone with a working pancreas. What do I mean by that? If your blood sugar levels are very controlled and you emulate the same blood sugar levels as someone with a working pancreas, you will avoid diabetic complications. When I learned this early on in my journey, it made a huge difference. It made a huge difference because I felt like I had a fighting chance. So, what certain goals can you set? How can you be intentional about this? Now, it doesn't matter how long you've been living with type 1. It's never too late to start being intentional about it. But I'd say be intentional about your A1C. So what I've learned that if someone goes above an A1C, this is someone that doesn't have type 1. If they go over an A1C above 5.7, they're considered pre-diabetic. If they go over A1Cs of 6.5, they're considered a type 2 diabetic. So my intentions, my goals, right, being super intentional about my diabetes, the tip number one I have for you was how can I get my A1C down to a normal range, to a range that is equivalent to someone that doesn't have type 1 diabetes. So my goal was to get my A1C down to below a 5.7. And let me tell you, since I was super intentional about that in the beginning, my A1C went from 11.7 to a 5.1 because that was my goal. I was being super intentional about it. That was all that was going through my mind. How can I get better control? What can I do? So that's what I want to that's the first tip is set goals for yourself. Set A1C goals for yourself. So set a goal that is for me I was just trying to avoid those diabetic complications. So that's why I set that goal. But maybe it feels too overwhelming. Set a goal for yourself that you feel like you can actually achieve and let it be a stretch because that's the whole point. You know, it's you have to stretch yourself. You can't just be in the same place and and expect to improve. That's the point of goals. So the first goal to set for yourself, as a tip, is work on an A1C goal. So if you're an A1C of 7 or your A1Cs of 8, try to get down to the low sixes. Try to get down to a 6.5. Try to get whatever number that you feel like it's a stretch, but you can actually achieve. Aim for that goal and be super intentional about getting to that goal. Another goal that you can set for yourself is time and range, right? If you have a CGM, what time and range is can you achieve, right? So if you're at 60% time and range, reach for a 75. If you're at a 70 time and range, reach for an 85, right? So the more intentional you can get about your diabetes management and the more intentional you can get about your control, the better you're going to be in the long run, right? So that's tip number one that I have for you is accept it. And that's a whole nother, I'm not going to really get into acceptance, but accept that you have to deal with this and then be super intentional about it and be intentional about it by setting A1C goals, set long-term goals, like try to get your A1C down to as normal as possible, etc. All right. So tip number two, this is again, crucial tip, crucial and practical. Track your blood sugar levels. The only way you can become a master over your blood sugar levels is by understanding yourself, not by following some doctor's formula he gives you every 3 months. I'm gonna be transparent with you. I was following everything my doctor said, but it was nearly impossible because things change constantly. And I learned through other type 1 diabetics that the best way to actually get really good control is by looking over your data, track your blood sugar levels every single day and look what's going on. I had a spike here. Why did I have a spike here? I went low here. Why did I go low? Did I give myself too much insulin? What did I eat? Was the food a factor? What the more you track, the better you are. Now, I've gotten such good control over my blood sugar levels because I've been tracking my myself for over 4 or 5 years at this point, and I just get I'm so attuned with my body. I know what's gonna happen. I even feel my lows more because it's like I build this connection between myself and my blood sugar levels. Um, the way you can do that is by CGM. Look over your patterns. If you have a Dexcom, look over your Clarity app. If you have a Libre, look over those reports. Use my Sugar app to track blood sugar levels. That's the app that I use, and that I push people to use, that I work with, because it's a practical interface. It's free, so download it. But like I said, it's very practical. The more you track, the better you're going to be. The more you're paying attention to the patterns, the more you're paying attention to what's going on, why I'm going high, how much insulin, did I take too much insulin? Do I need more insulin? Do I need to adjust my basal? The better you're going to be at mastering control over yourself, over your blood sugar levels. So then tip number three, and this one, I'm telling you, it's one of the most helpful. And that is engage with the type 1 diabetes community. What do I mean by that? talk to other type 1 diabetics. Do not do this journey by yourself. There's other people that figured out certain situations that you have. There's other people that can help you. There's other people that you just listening to the questions they're asking and seeing other people answer, like you can get a lot of practical things from it, and you're also not going to feel alone in this journey. Let me tell you, us as humans, we are not meant to do type 1. We're not meant to do life alone, but us as type 1 diabetics, we are not meant to do this by ourselves, because you are going to feel overwhelmed, you're going to feel alone, you're going to feel misunderstood, and isolation is never good. So engage with the type 1 diabetes community. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, how it all started for me. So when I was diagnosed at 22 years old, I was in a really bad place, because I would go to the doctors and I felt like they just weren't giving me anything practical. Then I would, my family was there and they're like, "You're gonna get through this." I'm like, "But you don't understand. You don't understand how hard this is. You don't understand how much it's a struggle for me." And they're like, "Yeah, but you're gonna get through it. Don't worry." And I just was isolating until I realized, I'm like, someone had, like, there's other people that have to have type 1 diabetes. Let me look online. So I started reading on Reddit the type 1 diabetes forums, and I would go, and at first I would just lurk through the questions people asked, and then I'm like, wow, that person has the same issue as me. Wow, that person's dealing with it mentally as me. Wow, that person was diagnosed at this age. Wow, and it opened the door for me a lot. So what I did was I started asking my own questions. And then people recommended, read this book, Diabetes Solution by Dr. Bernstein. Go low carb, do this, try managing like this, and it just completely changed my whole perspective. I'm like, if that person can obtain good control, if that person can get over the mental struggles, I can do that as well. Right. And that's what community does. So fast forward, I got really good at managing my blood sugar levels. And I started posting my stuff, my blood sugar levels every day. I started talking about my diabetes journey on Instagram. And then all of a sudden, my Instagram started getting more followers and people started reaching out to me. And it just felt so good. It felt so good not to be alone. It felt so good to be understood. So, this is why this tip is so important for your journey as a type 1 diabetic. I truly believe that if you can surround yourself with a community, not a community that they just like, "Oh yeah, diabetes sucks and yeah, we all feel bad for each other." No, but a community that's pushing you to become a better type 1 diabetic. I'm telling you, it's going to influence your journey in such a more productive way, in such a more efficient way. Don't be lone wolf. You don't have to be, right? So take it from me. I'm someone that likes to do everything myself, but I realized with type 1 diabetes, it just didn't pay off. And it also helped me help people. Right now, I became a wellness coach and I help type 1 diabetics get really good control over their blood sugar levels, lower their A1Cs. And I help them a lot just by being there, being the support for them, picking them up when they're down and celebrating their wins. It's exactly why I made a community and type 1 diabetes school community, which you can join. The link will be on the description below, which it a community helps a lot more than just one-on-one coaching, I realize. And that's why I'm kind of diving in and shifting more of my coaching into community based, because the collective is so much more helpful. I still do one-on-ones, but I'm pushing more of the community stuff, because people can learn from each other and they can engage with each other's blood sugar levels, and they can track and they can post their tracking on that community, and we can talk about subjects that everybody kind of needs help with. And if the community is doing good, if people are getting wins, that motivates and helps others in their journey as well. So do not do this journey by yourself, and engage, go online, ask questions, talk to other type 1 diabetes, go to the hashtag type 1 diabetes on Instagram, on Facebook groups, join my group. I'm telling you, it's going to be a game changer, and it's going to be one of the best groups ever. So to recap everything, tip number one, accept and be intentional about what you're trying to achieve with your blood sugar levels. Set goals for your A1C, set goals for your time in range, set long-term goals, set goals with your body. Be intentional with whatever you're doing with your health. That's practical. That's super important. Tip number two is track your blood sugar level. The only way you can master control over yourself is by tracking, is by understanding your body. Don't expect someone to give you a formula that they read off a textbook and for that to work. Don't expect someone just to give you these pump settings and for that to work. The technology is not all there yet. You have to understand, you have to be the best pancreas possible. And tip number three is join a community, engage with other type 1 diabetics, and surround yourself with other people in the similar journey so you can feel understood, and you don't have to do this alone. So, with that being said, I hope this helps. I hope this encourages you. Keep on striving. I know this disease can suck, but this doesn't mean the end of the world. And I'm telling you, if you can master control of your blood sugar levels, you're going to become a better person. You're going to become better with yourself internally, but also physically. You're going to get super strong. You're going to get super aware of yourself, and you're going to become the healthiest person in your surroundings. I know that because that's what happened with me, and that's what happens with other people that take the control. With type 1 diabetes, you can't be healthy or unhealthy. There's no in between with type 1 diabetes. It's either you're very healthy or you're not. And that's the sad reality. But strive for better control. And I'm telling you, it's going to affect the quality of your life in such a better way. And it's never too late to start. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you on the next one.